marketing, Mustang Marketing, Scott Harris, the owner. And when we are concluded with this, we're then going to show you the footage that we did last night at the Government Center, the election results. We had Mark Lund, we had Elton Gallagly, we had Peter Foy, we had Phil Schmidt, the former registrar of voters, and that you can watch at your leisure. But now it's Scott Harris time. And marketing, and you want to say this is a primer on marketing?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. I mean, you had said earlier marketing 101. It might be marketing 102, but yeah, it's the basic stuff. When we talked last week, we talked about strategic plans.
And that was the roadmap.
That was the roadmap. And your segue was brilliant, by the way, and unscripted, so I just love that. And we talked about the roadmap, which is the strategic plan. We talked about how you need goals, and you need to identify an audience, and you've got to have a message, and you've got to have vehicles, and that's what we chatted about. But once you have that plan in place, then what you've got to do is you've got to get down to the tactical. You have to develop materials. And in the end, that is what people come to a marketing firm for. They want a new brochure, they want a new website, they want a new television spot, or whatever it might be. So once you have the strategic plan in place, then you kind of know what to do. Then you go, if you will, from being the architect to being the general contractor. And what we've done at Mustang, and others have different definitions, of course, but what we've done at Mustang is we branded it under our roadmap. We call it the 4 C's, and that's our process for the tactical. And so these are the 4 things that you need to do as you're developing creative. Now, when I say creative, I mean something that you're copywriting, something that you're designing. You want it to look great visually. You want it to say right. You want to get the message and do all those good things. And here are the 4 components to that. And the first one, I think, is the most important. It's clarity. When we talk to business owners or business managers or presidents of companies, they want to go on forever about their product and service. And they want to put everything they can into their ad. We'll use an ad as an example. But in the end, you and I don't really care about all that. So what I try to tell them is, that, and this is the critical question I ask is, if somebody reads an ad about your product, what's the one thing that you would like them to take away? What's the absolute one thing?
So to distill it down.
Distill it down. Because I force you to do that. I force you to focus. Because you want to tell me about this and about that and
The
about
bells,
this.
the whistles,
I
the
get all of
history,
that. But in
legacy.
the end, are you the bluest? Are you the fastest? Are you the newest? Are you the cheapest? Are you the only? What is it? And then once we get that, now we can be clear about what we want to tell people. That's the clarity issue. The next thing so that's the first C, clarity. The next thing is consistency. And so what I mean by that is you have to be saying the same thing on your website that your sales guys are saying on the street, that your posters are saying, that your radio spots are saying, that your television spots are saying. You've got to be consistent among all those different things. Because if you're out on the streets as a salesperson and you're telling everybody, we have got the least expensive unit in the whole world, but at our website, all we're talking about is the quality. We have the best product in the world, and then the guys on the phone are saying, but our service is really what sets us apart. It's a confusing message.
So you're saying that it's not layering the message. You're saying that it's almost being redundant in keeping the one message.
Absolutely. And part of that is, today's society, we have the attention span of a goldfish. Mm-hmm. Especially the younger generation. They're just, everything for them moves at a very fast pace. So you've got to get it across quick. Mm-hmm. Do you watch this show for information? Do you watch it because it's local? Do you watch it because it's informative? Do you watch it because Maria's interesting? What is it you're doing? And get that across. And then so you want to do that in everything that you do. So no matter what they do, if they go to their website, if they look at your brochure, if they get your direct mail piece, if they hear your radio spot, everything's the same, and so now it starts to plant that seed because you're breaking through clutter. Right. On an average day, an American sees more than 5,000 different ad messages coming through. So you've got to break through that clutter. There needs to be something that stops, that arrests you and says, wait a second, that's the only local television show in all of Ventura County? That's the only television show that focuses on Ventura County? I live in Ventura County. I work in Ventura County. I'm raising my family in Ventura County. Maybe I should take a peek, right? So it might not be that Scott Harris is the guest or the Pet Girl is the guest or this or that or the other. So that's the message you create, and you become very clear on that, and then that's what you sell to everybody. The third C then is, I just said consistency, right? Continuity. Continuity is the third C. And what that means is you have to do it over a period of time. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a while for that to settle in. You're developing a new product, right? You're developing a television show, which is fantastic. It's going to take a while before the good people of Ventura County become very familiar with your show, before you become an automatic thought. Like right now, when I go to events and I see you, and it's like, oh, this is great, Maria's here, it's a surprise. Pretty soon it won't be a surprise. It'll be a surprise if you're not there, because you're going to be expected to be there. You'll be a part of that community. And so you want to do it over a period of time so that people know that no matter where they look, this is what they're going to hear about the show, and you're going to tell them that over a period of time, so that it starts to sink in and become part of my thought process. And then the fourth C, and this is the one that most people hire an ad agency for, is creative, right? So that's the one that people come and say, I need a new brochure. I've got to update my website. I need an exciting radio spot. I need a new direct mail piece. We're just coming off the political season, so direct mail, that's what but that's actually the last thing we do. It's the most visible thing we do, but it's the last thing we do. And my creative director would hate to hear this, but it might even be the least important of the things we do. Because if you do all the other things in front of it, if you've established the goal, if you've identified the audience, if you've created the right message, if you've picked the correct vehicle for delivering, if you're very clear on what you want to say, if you're consistent across all of your pieces and there's continuity in the work that you're doing, in the end, creative can't overcome not doing those things, but it can enhance having done them. So I'm not saying that it's not important, but you have to have the other things done first before you can do that.
Well, it almost follows through like the consumer. If you've done all of that, then your message has come through.
Yes.
If you do all of that within your agency, then at the very end, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Because you have the vision too.
Yep.
Right?
So what happens is all of the marketing is designed to get somebody to turn on the computer and watch the show. Then the show has to stand on its own.
Right.
Either you're entertaining, informative, and a good use of my time, or you're not.
Right.
So great marketing gets people to turn on the computer and go to kdytv.com, which you should all do. That's what great marketing does. Then beyond that, you need a great show.
Right.
Right? Because I can't do anything. I can't bring a person back a second time if they didn't like it the first time.
Correct.
So our job is to do all of those things, to do them in order. And there is a difference between marketing and sales. We're not a sales group. We don't sell. We can get someone to come to your store, we can get someone to go to your website, we can get someone to watch your show, we can get somebody to listen to your radio spot. But in the end, there has to be value on the other end, or you're not going to ever need us again.
And that's a little bit of a distinction in the entertainment arena, that you have a manager who helps guide career choices, but you have an agent that gets the jobs.
Absolutely.
So you are, quote, a manager of an entity.
Yes.
And then the sales force has to get the orders.
Absolutely. The manager would be a little more marketing, and the agent would be a little more sales. I mean, if we were going to allow that analogy to continue through.
Right.
Of course, most entertainers will tell you they're both, overpaid and don't do their jobs, but most people will tell you their agency's overpaid and doesn't do their job.
But there was somebody who just passed away, and I don't think it was Tom Bosley, although it might have been, because Gary Marshall eulogized him, and we were there at the Happy Days pre-launch of the show at
Okay.
Cesar Plaza, and I think he had the same agent for his entire career, like Bill Cosby. I mean, it's rare.
It is rare. I mean,
Because
that's not an industry where continuity is
And loyalty.
is a big deal. I mean, I only deal in that industry in the periphery, but I only write agents' numbers down in pencil. Just
Yeah, who do I call today?
exactly. I know that Maria was your agent on Friday, but my God, it's already Wednesday. So
Yeah.
who's in?
So in terms of somebody who's watching and they think, geez, how much does that cost? Do you talk numbers, or you just say everybody's project is unique? And
You know what?
we
Most
need to-
projects are unique. I mean, there's a range. If somebody calls and they want a new print ad or they want a 30-second spot. But, doing, for example, a 30-second television spot, as you know, that's like saying how much does a house cost? You can do we could do a 30-second television spot right here very inexpensively, very quickly, that's decent. Or you can spend $3 million on special effects and high-priced talent and all those different things. So that range is a little difficult to pin down. It's like I say to somebody, well, it's the same as saying how much does a house cost? I don't know. Do you want a $30,000 condo in the absolute middle of nowhere? Or do you want a $4 million mansion on Broad Beach Road in Malibu?
But then that comes down to budget too, right?
Absolutely.
And
You've
when
got-
people say, what's your budget? It's like, well, I don't know. Did you want me to wager the house?
Okay,
or
people
my
aren't going to
children's
believe that this is
education?
true, but that's our next segment.
Okay.
That's our next segment is what
That
we're going to
would
talk
be the
about doing a community.
intuitiveness.
Well, she's really good at this. We're going to talk about communications audit and budgeting next time we get together
Okay,
to talk about
good.
this stuff.
Perfect tease then.
That was
Scott
brilliant.
Harris, Mustang Marketing and owner of and located in Thousand Oaks.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Scott.